All right. Welcome to the Nerd Talk podcast, Nerdy Talk for nerdy fans. I'm your host, Remington Kies. Tonight on our show, we're stepping back into one of the most imaginative eras of film and television. Our guest today is an actress whose work became part of pop culture history, helping bring to life one of the most beloved family adventure films of the late 80s. You'll probably remember Amy O'Neill from such classic Disney film as Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, a movie that turned backyard grass into a jungle and ordinary insects into larger than life characters. That film didn't just entertain audiences, it inspired a generation of fans who still celebrate it decades later. But her career didn't stop there. She's also done stuff such as Star Trek The Next Generation, joining one of the most passionate fandoms in entertainment history. From Disney to Final Frontier, she's experienced two different worlds that continue to thrive in fan culture today. And speaking of fans, she'll be meeting them face to face at Mockingbird Lane this month, where audiences will get the chance to celebrate the nostalgia, the stories behind the scenes, and the legacy of these iconic projects. Tonight, we're talking about growing up in Hollywood, the magic behind these unforgettable movie moments, the power of fandom, and what it's like revisiting these classics decades later. So sit back, relax, and join me in welcoming our actress, Amy O'Neill. How's it going? Was that good?
Hi, Remington. Yes, thank you. Hi, everybody.
I'm so excited to have you up here. You know, you're such an icon when it comes to like movies and like childhood, especially for kids even going as far as like early 2000s. Everybody kind of grew up with Honey I Shrunk the Kids and Honey I Blew Up the Kids. It was on TV every week.
Yeah. And people are still enjoying it. I still keep meeting families with, they love to show it to their kids on Disney Plus, and it makes me so happy.
What was it like working with like Rick Moranis? You know, being such an icon at that moment.
He was wonderful. He was on set, he was really kind and respectful, and I wasn't didn't feel intimidated by him. I felt like I could, um, experiment and do whatever I wanted. And he was always just really gentle. And yeah, he was a dreamy person to work with.
That's awesome. I know he's like one of my heroes. I loved him in Ghostbusters. I loved him in Flubber. Oh no, that wasn't him in Flubber. That was Robin Williams, right? That's my bad. He was, but I do like Honey I Shrunk the Kids. There's a lot of stuff I've watched him in. He's very much an icon. I grew up in that like kind of late '90s stuff, so I saw a lot of his projects. Growing up.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited he's coming back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was gone for so long, and you know, I think he probably would have been. He's already an icon, is, but I feel like he would have been a bigger icon had he stuck with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he just, he wanted to shift priorities for that period of time that he was raising his kids. But
Yeah,
he's coming back in Spaceballs,
yeah, that's gonna be great. That's gonna be an iconic movie in itself. I
right?
don't know if you have you seen Spaceballs, the animated series and stuff.
No, I haven't seen the animated one. I just saw the original.
All this stuff was good. It left a huge legacy behind.
Yeah.
So we'll get into our first question. When you look back at your younger self working on big projects, what's something that the kid version of you understood about acting that adult actors sometimes forget?
Well, I think that in order to be truly present and have the quality of play, I think that it's important to quiet the inner critic as much as possible. And I think that sometimes as we get older, that inner critic can get a little louder. So at least for me, when I was a kid, it was easier to just do what I, do what I could, do what I did, and not have
Yeah,
self judgment or worry about it.
I get you. I get you. If you could step back onto the set of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids today with your current life experience, what decisions would you do differently?
I think that as an adult, as I got older, I started to understand more who I was working with on the
Hmm.
set of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. These craftsmen and giants in their fields. So I think that if I was an adult going back, I would want to spend more of my free time with them while we were filming on location, and yeah, understand the adults better. But at the time I was a kid, so I was hanging out with Jared and Robert and doing kid stuff. I lost the sound for you, Remington.
Oh, sorry. That's so cool. I'm just so in awe because that even like as a kid when they had like that Honey I Shrunk the Kids experience at Disney World, like even then it was just like so like mind blown with stuff like that. And even like Disney redoes the kind of stuff like that with like stuff like Ant-Man and stuff. Just like the idea of getting shrunk down to a small scale. I mean, that's just a crazy idea.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people who were really impacted by that Honey, I Shrunk the Kids adventure playland in Florida, who have really important memories from their childhoods at that park.
Yeah, it's a very iconic thing, especially for us '90s kids and stuff.
Right? Yeah.
What was the first moment in your career where you realized, oh wow, this movie is going to become something people remember for decades?
So when I turned 18 right when the movie came out, and
Hmm.
I would go into Westwood where they had a lot of huge movie palaces and go to the movies as much as I could. And I went into one of the big movie theaters to see Field of Dreams. And they showed the trailer for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And it was a huge theater and it was up on the big screen. And Disney really did an incredible job on the trailer. And believe it or not, the audience started clapping after the trailer. And I hadn't really experienced that before. So I was at that point I realized that it was going to be embraced by the
Was
audiences.
it was it something that was so big that you couldn't go out to like malls and stuff, or were you still kind of like able to like have a normal life after?
Well, I live in Los Angeles. So a lot of people around here are pretty used to seeing celebrities at the drugstore or at the supermarket.
Yep.
So I don't, it never was like a problem for me.
Because I know with like certain projects and stuff, like I'm relatively small, like compared to like someone like you, but like even like around like college campuses, I'll get recognized for my projects and stuff. So, I have you ever been like traveling and someone goes, "Oh my god, like you were my childhood," or like out in public? Was it?
I did. I went in the late 90s. I went and I lived in Italy for a year and a half.
Hmm.
I had studied the language before I went, but then I also was studying while I was there, and I was also painting a lot. And so when I would meet people, I generally would get to know them as a painter, and I wouldn't even really bring up my past as an actor. And I started dating someone, and he worked on like a live show, like a variety show that
Hmm.
those shows were really popular in Italy, and they had a a boy band on, a really popular boy band. And one of the guys from the boy band said to this guy that I was dating, isn't she the girl from Tesoro mi sono ristretti I ragazzi, which is what it's called in Italian.
Wow, you pulled that off really well. That was really good Italian.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But I hadn't talked to my friend about that part of my life before. And so he was surprised and he said, no, I don't think so. So later I had to tell him, and then we watched it together dubbed in Italian, which was educational and
That
fun.
must have been pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Did you like, I know this is off script, but did you like understand, because you've already read the script and stuff, what they were kind of saying, or were you kind of lost when watching it dubbed in another language?
No, I still remembered all my lines because I saw it enough times that, I had it pretty much memorized. So yeah, I got to like understand Italian better.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
I gotta do that with one of my projects sometimes. Be like, oh, let me see what it's like dubbed.
Right? Good way to learn the language.
Growing up acting in the late 80s and early 90s, how different did Hollywood feel compared to what you see younger actors dealing with this day and age?
Well, the times have changed so much, in the 80s. I think a lot of kids experienced childhood like I did, which was after school, go around, play with the neighbor kids, run around until it gets dark out, come back for dinner. And now so much of everything is online and we're connected in a way that wasn't possible back then.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that now with the creator economy, there are so many opportunities where you get to see people making their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And have it seen by a big audience. So I don't know if that affects the child actors today, but yeah, there's not as much dependence on like a big studio to hire you to do something. And as far as like theater, I've gone to see my nephew's school plays and they're hitting it out of the park in the theater. So
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
yeah.
Do you think you would have been more of a social media influencer had you had that back in the 80s?
No, I don't think I would have been an influencer. And I never really got into reality shows. When I was young, I really fell in love with the craft of acting and getting to step inside these characters that writers had described and try to understand them. And so I don't think I would have been an influencer.
In a film like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, so much depends on imagination and special effects. How did you mentally visualize the giant environments while you were acting?
Well, a lot of the giant environments were actually built. Like there was
Okay.
a whole huge soundstage that was full of giant grass.
Wow.
Granted, it didn't go up to the top of the grass, but it was spectacular. It was beautiful. There was a giant floor, a whole soundstage that was full of the giant wooden floor. But as far as letting, for me and maybe for the other kids, sometimes being able to be in touch with your imagination and play at that level. I think for me, it took understanding like relaxation in order to be able to play like that. So,
Okay. Yeah, I. So you're saying it was like a lot of it was like on a set, right?
right. All of it was on sound stages.
Did that help? I guess like visualize it in your head while you were doing the scenes, because I know like with that new TED show. A lot of it they had to use, they weren't even looking at something. They had like a little ball, you know what I mean? So it was more visual effects, especially like computer stuff. So did it help with the imagination when it came to acting, having the physical sets?
Yeah, of course. And I understand what you're getting at now. Like we had an enormous puppet as an ant, right?
Hmm.
So that was actually there, but the scorpion was all done in miniatures. And
Okay.
so when we were fighting the scorpion, we were fighting a guy holding a extension pole with a pink feather duster on the end.
Huh.
So yeah, that was all commitment and imagination.
Okay. Okay. Was
And you
there ever? Oh,
there.
go ahead.
I think probably there was, I studied a lot. I studied acting a lot. I loved being in acting classes when I was young. And so I think there's like a discipline of being able to jump in and commit when the time is right. Yeah, I think it's really about like letting yourself believe it as much as you can at that moment.
Cindy says we'll have a giant ant at Amy's table at Mockingbird Lane.
I'm so excited about Mockingbird Lane.
Yeah, that's gonna be so much fun.
When I saw that it's immersion meets Comic Con experience, I got so excited. And then when I learned more about what that meant, that the people putting the show together for us, they're building all of these sets and, you know, like for the Honey I Shrunk the Kids aspect, there's going to be oversized grass and a giant ant. And I think that is also for as a tribute to the movie Them apostrophe,
Yep.
the drive-in movie classic from the 1950s.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to meet Butch Patrick, who's going to be bringing the Dragula car as part of the
Eddie
classic.
Munster, right?
Pardon?
Eddie Munster?
Well, Eddie Munster, but he was also in one of my childhood favorites. When I was young, I loved all the Sid and Marty Krofft shows on Saturday morning television. And Butch Patrick starred in Lidsville
Mm.
with Charles Nelson Riley. That was a show that was all about this boy who disappeared into a giant magician's hat, and he went into this other land where the land was inhabited by all of these living hats. And it was
Wow.
so wacky. And Butch Patrick played the lead. And so I'm excited. I'm bringing my box set to try and get him to sign it.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome. See, you're not just going as an actress; you're going as a fangirl. That's great.
I get excited by this stuff. Yeah.
Cindy also said, "Yeah," and flowers. Yes, 1954. Them.
Whoa. I'm so excited.
Was there ever a scene you thought that was going to be easy, but turned out to be surprisingly difficult when filming it?
Um, Maybe dancing with the mop in the kitchen.
Okay.
You know, I had worked with another dancer before going to Mexico to have some moves up my sleeve so that, I'd have some things to pull out when it was time to film. But when we were actually filming it, it was in the kitchen, right? And it looks like the kitchen was pretty spacious, but there were like 30 people in the kitchen and like a dolly and huge camera. So that one was kind of tricky, to try and make it seem like a private moment when there were so many.
Did you not have a lot of room to move and all that?
Well, it was all crafted, like each
Yeah.
shot, there was all these other people standing around on behind the camera, so they did a great job of it. I think it does end up looking like it was a private moment and that I was alone in the kitchen.
That's awesome. We got a question from Chris Palme, who says, "How many other actors auditioned for Honey I Shrunk the Kids?"
Oh, so many. Hi, Chris. Um, Originally Stuart Gordon was supposed to direct Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Stuart Gordon is like a big deal in the horror community. He and Brian Usna originally came up with the concept of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I'm going to turn off my notifications in case it's making noise. So Stuart Gordon and Brian Usna originally came up with the idea for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids because they had kids themselves and they wanted to make a movie that was like a horror movie for kids, right? Because they were known for making Reanimator and some of the H.P. Lovecraft interpretation films. And so when it came to, so I remember hearing about it being cast back then, which was like a year or two before I was cast in it. So my sister had an audition for it. Some of the girls I was in acting class with got to audition for it, but I couldn't get an audition at the time. So I knew the girl who got the part when Stuart Gordon was directing. She was a great actress who I still see from time to time. And so when Stuart had to step down and Joe Johnston came in, then all of a sudden it was open to another huge casting session. So that time I got to go in, which I was really excited because in the original script, it was really important that Amy Szalinski was tall for her age and that Russ was small for his age. And so I was tall for my age. And so, yeah, I got to go and audition for it. I think I went on maybe like 3 callbacks and a screen test and booked the job, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. Man, that kind of reminds me. I did a movie with David Spade, right? And when I auditioned for it, it was originally an Adam Sandler movie. Okay. And as we got on set, Adam Sandler called David Spade while we were on set and replaced himself with David Spade.
Wow.
Yeah, because I don't think there was enough big enough names by the time we got to shooting, and it wasn't. He didn't think it was going to be big enough. So that
making a movie is pretty crazy. I mean, you think about it, you've got to get 100 people on the same page and their schedules all right, and it's really a miracle every time a movie gets made.
Well, the good thing about Adam Sandler is he hires a lot of the same people. So the person who was the director was his nephew. So it's a lot of his people in the production. It was like, but everybody was great on it. You know, I really enjoyed working with him.
That's cool. He's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a small behind the scenes detail from the movie that fans would never guess would have happened?
Okay. Well, there were a lot of special effects in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And I think we had the top of the top in terms of all the special effects artists. But there was one scene that we were filming, and it was just me and the camera crew and everybody. The other kids weren't in the scene or in that shot, where Nikki falls into the giant flower and is covered in pollen, and I'm down underneath the flower and I'm saying, Nikki, you're allergic to pollen, get down, or whatever I was saying at the time. And so the pollen that they had been using that was like stuck all over Nick's shirt and like he tried to put up his nose and stuff, that was made out of some kind of foam or something. And so they wanted the pollen to be falling down on me while I was looking up at the flower. And when we went to shoot it, the pollen didn't, the cinematographer, I believe it was the cinematographer, Hero, it came to his attention that the pollen didn't look like it was falling right. Like it didn't look like it was light enough. And so everybody kind of started thinking on their feet right there in the giant backyard, trying to figure out how we could maybe fix it. And somebody came up with the idea of tearing up a legal pad, you know, those yellow legal pads. And so we tried it and people were standing around, everybody was ripping up all the legal pads. And then as you threw them up in there and they come floating down, you know, the way they caught the air, it looked much more what they have been hoping for. So that's a little behind the scenes secret. You're muted again.
Okay. What is the most surprising story a fan has ever shared with you about how your role impacted them?
Wow, that takes me back. When I was 14, I was on The Young and the Restless for 30 episodes, and I played a pregnant runaway teenager
Yeah.
who got into a real terrible predicament, and some of the stars on the show helped me out. But when I was on The Young and the Restless, I got a lot of fan mail, like the soap opera fans. They really write in. And I remember I would try and answer them all. And I remember getting one from a teenager who actually was pregnant and had run away from home. And she was writing to me, kind of looking for some kind of guidance or something like that. And I'll never forget that, because I think I was sitting on my bedroom floor after doing my homework, looking through the mail, and I didn't really have any experience with it. Except for playing one on TV. So that one I'll never forget. That probably was the most impactful experience I've heard of from a fan of something I've done. I can't hear you again.
My co-host is just entering, so I'm going to bring him up real quick.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
All right. Introducing my co-host, Ian Connor. Oh, he's not ready. Hold on. Let me know. I guess he's not ready. Chris was also in the chat. He says thoughts on the sequels.
I loved Honey, I Blew Up the Baby. I thought it was so funny. It was so charming and funny. And I think Robert did an excellent job. And
I actually think that's the first one I saw. I think I saw that one first, then Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I love the part when they're in the baby's pocket. When Kerry Russell, who I also am a huge fan of as an adult, as an actress, yeah, I thought it was really funny. I thought it was great.
What do you think made the movie so successful?
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Yes.
Well, there's like all of the fantastic special effects. There's Rick Moranis, Matt Frewer, who was hilarious in real life, and Christine Sutherland and Marcia Strausman, and there's all of that. But there was also something about the story. I think that it took place in the backyard, and everybody's got a backyard. Well, most everybody has a backyard where I think it made people look at things differently, like take a closer look at the backyard. So I think maybe that's why it has stayed around for so long, but also it's, it was done at a time where it was it just was a Disney classic, I think.
All right, I'm bringing Ian up right now.
Hello. How are
Hello,
you?
and
Hello, everyone. I'm Ian Connor. How are you? Nice to meet you, Amy.
nice to meet you.
Oh, this is so amazing.
Ian, do you have any questions for the lovely Miss Amy?
Yes, I have a myriad of questions. Hopefully, you are comfortable with answering them. I just want to know, what was it like shooting like the intense special effects scenes in the movie?
It was exhilarating,
Oh, shucks. Where did I go? Did you guys hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but what was it like shooting the intense special effects scenes in the movie?
It was awesome. There was so much work that went into preparing for each moment that we got to shoot. Some of the had been down in Mexico City at Churubusco Studios building the props and the sets and everything. I think they had been down there for a year before we even got down there to start shooting.
That's cool.
So, it was probably like maybe some athletes can relate to when you've done so much stuff to prepare for something and then the moment comes and you got to show up for the moment and you got to make it shine right then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so much stuff goes into each one of those shots, and I think it looked really effortless the way they put it all together, which to me is elegant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what was it? Can you tell us about like your experience with the premiering the film at Disney's MGM Studios?
Yes. So we had the premiere there during a time where they were also opening that theme park. And so it was a huge celebration. They flew a lot of celebrities from Los Angeles and I think from all around the country. So Audrey Hepburn was there, Leonard Nimoy was there. There was a parade that we got to be in with all of these huge celebrities. It was really something else, I remember John Ritter came up to me after he saw a screening of the movie and complimented me on my performance, which was so meaningful because I watched a lot of Three's Company reruns when I was growing up.
Love
Same.
Three's Company.
Yeah, he was so funny.
Mm. How did you approach playing Amy, and what do you think was some of her defining characteristics?
Well, there, for me, it was it was a bit of a stretch because I think Amy Szalinski was kind of supposed to be this popular girl. And honestly, growing up for me in school, I was, I was kind of a nerd. I was like an athlete, and so I wasn't at school quite a bit of the time when I was a competitive ice skater. And then I was in the choir, and then I was kind of a drama nerd. So, I approached it like, I think also I thought a lot about, the reasons why she was so protective of Nikki, and she was almost like like a parental figure, like taking care of him like that. And I think that the stuff with her parents not getting along was of a great concern to her. And it was a little tricky because Thomas Wilson Brown, who played Little Russ, was so charming and so handsome. So to think of like why she would just kind of blow him off and be like, I'm going to the mall. I don't want to, that was kind of funny. But yeah, I think mostly I thought about the relationship with her little brother, Nikki, and also with little Ron Thompson, the younger next door neighbor kid. They had a lot of like head to head, like kind of combating each other. But then spoiler alert, when Auntie isn't doing so well, I think that Amy really feels a lot of compassion and gets to see a side of Ron, the neighbor kid who was so tough. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Hmm. I'm trying to see. Do I have any? Boom, nerd. You cool with me asking a few more questions, or do
Yeah,
you
I'm
have?
cool with you asking a few more questions. I just have one question that's from the audience, and it's Chris again. He says, "Do you feel a reboot could do as well in 2026?"
Yeah, I think it could do as well. I mean,
Mhm.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the original, broke records for Disney in terms of the money it made at the box office. But yeah, I think it could do as well. I don't know. I can't predict the future. I don't know who would be involved with it
Would
or
you
any,
come back for a reboot?
pardon?
Would you come back for one?
Are
A
you
reboot?
kidding me? I'll be delighted. Yeah.
That would be so awesome just to see the whole like original cast coming back together for like a new sequel type reboot film. That would be so amazing. So, um, let's see. What do you think is the most memorable part of the film for fans?
I don't know. Since I've been doing the fan events, I've
Hmm.
been able to ask them a little bit more, or they've been, sharing it with me. I think a lot of people, it was this stuff with the ant.
Mm. Yeah, that was amazing.
I don't know. That's a good question. I think maybe for fans, the Cheerios, I don't know, the bee ride.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah,
Mm. That would be my number one, probably.
the
My,
bee.
yep, the B might be. But hold on, my just to like go off on a tangent, right? Because my grandmother would hurt me if I did not ask you this question, right? How was it, and how was your experience, rather, like playing a pregnant teen on The Young and the Restless?
Oh, it was cool. I think we talked about it a little bit right before you jumped into the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how was it? There was
Mm-hmm.
a lot of crying. The character I played was really in a pickle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but everyone on the show was so nice. We filmed it at CBS, right across the hall from where they filmed Price is Right and Wheel of Fortune. And so it was cool getting to film there. There's a different kind of schedule that happens with a soap opera where you'd film them so fast, that like, I think that's why a lot of the soap opera stars used to use the cue cards
Mm-hmm.
where instead of memorizing the lines. But I never really got that good at using the cue cards. So mostly I would memorize my lines. Yeah, it was awesome. And I did it the summer between junior high school and high school. So right before I went into ninth grade. And so yeah, it was exciting. And it was funny because I went to a huge high school and there were a lot of fans of The Young and the Restless who went to that high school. So all the time I was on the track team and I'd be hearing all the time, hey Molly, because that was my character's name on the show.
Molly Stark. That's
Yeah.
cool. Oh, that's so cool. Boom. But I want, let's see. And I want to see how I want to approach this question. Because I was going to ask you next, like, how does like being on a soap opera compare to being on like, just, a movie or something like that. But I want to ask you now about the America Metaphysical Circus. And what's it like to transition from acting to a trapeze artist?
Oh, I don't actually do trapeze.
You
I
don't?
d- no.
Oh.
Um, no, I don't. I've done some other stuff that like circus type shows. I also ran a program, a circus arts program for kids. Yeah. What's it like transitioning? Is that,
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
oh, I don't know. Something happened. I think part of the thing that I liked about acting was you get to jump into the perspective of all different kinds of people when you take on a role or when you're studying a role. And so I think that that's kind of carried over into life
Mm-hmm.
where I've never been the kind of person who has one thing that they want to master, I've had a dedication to, that I've always wanted to do. Like usually it's involving the arts, but not always. I've
Mm-hmm.
done all kinds of different things. And one of the things that I like about uh, doing circus arts is the community.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of Ringling Brothers clowns or people who have done Cirque du Soleil, all kinds of different clowns and artists. And that's, that's a big part of my community in Los Angeles that I value so much. They're really funny.
Mm, I can imagine. It sounds like it's a lot of fun. Like a lot of fun.
Yep.
You're going to be doing Mockingbird Lane in the next couple weeks. If fans come to see you there, what kind of conversations do you hope to have with them? What are you looking forward to them maybe talking about or bringing up when they come to meet you? And, just to kind of give these fans just kind of like a goal to go to, so that they're maybe, if they're too nervous to talk to you, or what are you kind of hoping to get at from some of these fans?
I just love getting to know people. I love getting to see all the cosplayers and all of the passion and creativity that they put into it.
Mhm.
But I also really appreciate just when people come up and talk to me about, what the movie meant to them in their lives, or if people have any kinds of questions. The celebrities, we're just people too. And I love community events. I really enjoy people in general. So yeah, hopefully, it, as long as you're polite, everything's on the table. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really inspiring. That's really, really inspiring.
Ion, did you have any other questions?
I got one more question, right? I'm trying to like see how to word it so it makes sense, right? So when you look back over like the totality of your entire career, I would like to know like what are some of the known knowns, some of the known unknowns, and the unknown unknowns that you've experienced.
All right. My answer to that is always, never, sometimes, and kind of.
Oh, that's dope. I love that.
I'm not sure I understood your question. I gotta fess up.
That is crazy. What did you say?
What were you trying to ask?
I was asking, what are some of the known knowns that you've experienced? Some of the known unknowns that you've experienced, and some of the unknown unknowns that you've experienced. So basically, I'm saying going into it, what did you? Hmm. That's why I was trying to word it in a certain type of way. Hmm.
Are you talking about the metaphysical circus again?
No, I'm talking about just your entire career. So going into acting, so it's like, did you know that you were going to be experiencing some of the things that you were experiencing?
No, I had no idea. When I was learning Italian, I
Mm-hmm.
used to make flashcards to help me
Mm-hmm.
remember vocabulary and to help learn the language. And I got into a habit of making flashcards with phrases that I wanted to learn and that I wanted to repeat to myself over and over again. So
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite flashcards was tutto da scoprire, which means everything to be discovered. And none of us know what's right around the corner. It's all a
Mm-hmm.
surprise at every moment. That's why I try and like really value what I have in the moment that I have it, because next thing you know, it's behind you and you're on to something else.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Who
What's
knows?
the oh, sorry.
No, you go.
What's the what's the strangest memorabilia from any project that you've had to sign at a convention?
Mhm.
Ooh, I know. Um, there's a guy who has a company called Doc's Prop Shop, and he makes
Mm.
like those jet packs from Back to the Future and like different kinds of uh, you know, superhero kind of effect things. And he made a full size replica of the shrink ray that made
Wow.
sounds and moved up and down, and it had smoke coming out of it and everything. It was so beautiful. and he brought it to one of the convention shows that I did, and he asked me to sign that shrink ray gun.
That's
So
super cool.
yeah, that's Dr. Prop Shop Brian.
I oh God, I want to know, how did playing the character on Honey I Shrunk the Kids, like how did that impact your life and your interests?
Well, it threw me for a loop, I got to tell you. When I got into acting, it was really about the craft of acting. I absolutely loved it. I loved the movies. I didn't have any kind of idea how to deal with that kind of celebrity. I don't come from like a showbiz family.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like a shock to the system to try and understand how to navigate all the stuff that came along with that. But other than that, I feel like it's been like a huge blessing in my life, to have the opportunity to meet some of the people I've gotten to meet, and to get to work with the people I've gotten to work with, and also, doing the fan events and getting to hear about how much people loved the movie. Movies were so important to me when I was growing up. I loved them. That was my favorite place to be, was in a movie theater. And I loved the art of the storytelling through movies. And yeah, so to have such a place in the community that makes those kind of experiences possible is like a great honor.
Oh yes.
I have a personal question that one of the fans is asking in the comments.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're not comfortable answering the question, we will move on to the next question. But I just have to put a warning on this.
What is it?
It says, "Was Hollywood as hard on kids as we are seeing in the media with the Epstein files?" I think this is coming from Brooke Bradley. I think she's trying to ask if it was that same kind of concern with acting back in your day as it is now with all the stuff coming out. With the Quiet on Set documentary and all this focus on these files, was there
Right.
any of that concern?
Yeah, my mom was really overprotective when I was growing up, which I'm very grateful for. And I probably could have gone down a lot of slippery slopes in there. But I don't think it's only just the acting industry. I think it's also the music industry. I think that a lot of
Oh,
times when kids have talent and they want to share it, parents get excited, and there are a lot of people that prey on that kind of situation. So I think it's good that it's all coming out so that we can adjust as a culture
mhm.
and protect our young people.
Yeah, that was a very great way to answer that.
Thank you.
Um, I
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, because that question was kind of a slippery slope, and I was like hesitant on whether I wanted to even ask it, because that kind of thing, you never know where people are comfortable, their comfortability levels with that kind of stuff.
I remember when I was a little kid, my grandma gave me a book of Grimm's fairy tales.
That's cool.
And they were horrifying. They were so scary, some of those old stories that they used to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to think, why did she have to give me such a scary book? But I think that maybe in olden times, people prepared there was a different kind of communication about stuff that could go sour.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it prepared you. It was so bad that it prepared you when something bad did really happen in real life.
Yeah, it wasn't such a shock to find out about it, I guess.
Yeah.
I assume that everybody wants good for everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like
Yeah.
I grew up like in the 70s and the 80s, and I had all the Free to Be You and Me records, and there was like a little bit of the hippie thing going on. So yeah, there's just like the dark side. I know, Remington, you're a martial artist, and I
Yeah.
think about the yin and the yang. There's always the dark and the light to balance it out.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, when I was in Italy, there was so much architecture that just was glorious. That was gorgeous. And like the Rococo stuff. And as I found out more about it historically, a lot of times after plagues and times of like despair, there was an outpouring of artistic work that people did, that had a lot of beauty in it. So I'm just hoping that after these times that we're going through, we're going to get to see
Yeah.
the yin to the yang.
Yeah, something beautiful will come out of all of this, and then it's all about us, moving forward as a people, as a culture. And like you said, when dark things happen, something beautiful does like comes out of that. So we can only just hope for the best.
Yeah.
The person who asked the question said
Like,
she had the Free to Be
I'm
You and
just
Me
an
books.
actor, so I don't have any opinion any greater than anybody else's about the whole thing. But yeah, I think that the fact that it's actually coming out and being exposed is really important.
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple more questions, and then I'm gonna let you go because we're getting to that time.
Okay.
Thoughts on the TV version of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? Have you seen it? Have you heard of it?
I watched some of it. One of the guys from Bosom Buddies was in it. I can't
Yeah.
remember his name offhand, but the blonde guy. I thought he was great. I thought that the show was fun. I didn't watch all of the episodes, but I watched some of them and I thought they were pretty creative and fun.
Did you keep in touch with the crew from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
The crew,
And maybe they're talking. Maybe the person is talking about
the cast.
like the cast, or it's just worded as the crew, but he might be talking about the cast.
The
Yeah.
funny thing about doing movies and TV and stuff like that, well, more movies, is when you're on the set working with everyone, it's such an intense atmosphere and the hours can be long and everybody bonds. And you would think that you would never part from these people again because the bond feels so strong. But then it's kind of a shocker afterwards that everybody moves on to their next projects.
Mm-hmm.
So it can feel really fragmented, it's not. So I think even with the cast, like I'm back in touch with Tom Moore again. And I've kind of been in touch with him over the years, but now I've gotten to be good friends with his wife and, he's a grandpa now. And so his kids and Jared, I've been in touch with off and on, and I visited him the last time I was on the East Coast. And Robert, I had not been in touch with in over 30 years or something, but recently I got back in touch with him. So I'm hoping to have some kind of reunion with him, and it would be great to see Jared there as well, and Tom. I think it would be important because it was 5 months of filming, but we were filming like 6 days a week. We were in a foreign country. So I think that the four of us went through an experience that was, a really important part of all of our lives, of the four of us, for the four of us. So it would be nice to just kind of check in again after all these years.
Oh, that's so cool.
After Mockingbird Lane, do you have any plans on doing any Comic-Con shows in Canada at some point?
I've got some stuff in the work. The funny thing with the Comic-Con shows is you have to be invited to a show. So sometimes if somebody writes to me and says, come to this part of the world or come to this part of the States or the country, I usually just recommend to them. I've heard that the producers of the show give a lot of weight to fan requests. So if you write in, usually the websites for the show will have a place where fans can write in and make requests and also let me know so that I can follow up on it. But generally, the custom is that you are invited to the shows. So it's not really up to me. But I can follow up with them if somebody lets me know. And you can get in touch with me on my Instagram page under Amy O'Neill Official because I check my messages there.
Ion, do you have any last questions for Miss O'Neill?
No, I don't, but you are a delight. You're like the sweetest person. I love Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's like my Mount Rushmore of movies, and it's been lovely talking to you.
Oh, thank you too. It's been great meeting you.
We
You
Great
got
gave
meeting.
you
oh,
gave a whole nother dimension to the conversation.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's oh, shucks.
we got 2 comments. Chris Palme says, "Okay, I will suggest this to the Niagara Falls Comic Con in June." And then we got Dominique who says, "I'll see if you can come to some shows in New Jersey." Well, there you go. There you got your fans are here watching. They want to see you. So
Awesome.
this is the end of the show, and I want you to plug your stuff. I know you're going to Mockingbird Lane, so this is the time. If you guys want to go see her, Amy, where's your next show, and how can the fans find you?
Well, my next show is in San Antonio, Texas for Mockingbird Lane, where immersion meets Comic-Con experience. Butch Patrick is going to be there with his Dragula starring in the classic car show. And there's all kinds of fantastic artists that are coming, and the people putting on the show are really taking it to another level with making this the immersion aspect with all of the sets and props to do pictures in and stuff like that. So definitely check that out. And if you can't come make it to the show and you want any of the people participating in the show to autograph something, there is a consignment, a guy who's doing a consignment part of the show, and that is on my Instagram as well as Mockingbird Lane. But like if you want to send in a laser disc or a DVD or VHS tape or whatever, baseball, McDonald's cup, little Honey I Shrunk the Kids storybook, you can send it into him there, and then we'll sign it during the show and send it back to you. So that should be on the Mockingbird Lane website and Instagram page. And then I'm going to put a post about it on my Instagram page too. So what else? This has been so much fun, and thank you so much, Remington. It's been a joy getting to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you at the show.
Yes, you will definitely see me there, and we'll meet in person. Maybe get lunch at some point, and chat more in person.
Yeah,
And oh, go ahead.
it's a 3-day show, which is
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So I'll put her Instagram in the link, her Instagram link in the description below for anybody who wants to go check her out and follow her and show her some love. Ian, where can people find you at?
Boom, you can find me on Ian Connor, Google it. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the platforms. But boom, love you, Remington. Thank you
And
so
make
much.
sure to go check out his album. He's got a new album out. Go check it out. Support Ian Connor. He's a great co-host. Show
Awesome.
some love towards him too.
Awesome.
And y'all can follow me at the Nerd Talk Podcast. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere that's got social media. Come check us out for new interviews coming soon. Thank you guys for watching. And until next time, I've been your host, Remington Kais, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.